Hey, how y'all doing out there? I got some old sad news for y'all. Malcolm-Jamal Warner gone, y'all, and Bill Cosby couldn't even take the pressure. He allegedly fainted when he heard that his TV son left this earth before he did. I know he gotta be sad and he gotta be all alone. Malcolm-Jamal Warner was one of the few people that supported Bill Cosby when he was going through what he was going through. And to see this man gone, it really tore Bill Cosby down. He was only 54 years old, but his legacy still live on. He the one that made it cool for brothers to not be thugs and still be accepted by the black community. He sure gonna be missed. Y'all need to listen at this.
And we do have some breaking news to report, and it's extremely sad. Malcolm-Jamal Warner, the actor most famous for his role as Bill Cosby's son, Theodore Huxtable, on the NBC hit sitcom The Cosby Show in the 80s and early 90s, has died. Police say he drowned off the coast of Costa Rica yesterday while vacationing with his family. Warner was born in New Jersey and raised by his mother, who enrolled him in acting school. His role on The Cosby Show earned him an Emmy nomination in 1986. And then after The Cosby Show, Warner went on to direct and produce multiple television shows while playing music and writing poetry. Malcolm-Jamal Warner was 54 years old.
This sad because this the last time we gonna be able to see somebody like Malcolm-Jamal Warner. There will be no other brothers to get no shine for being the type of man that he was. He represent the goodness in black people. He represent the decency in black men all the way until the day he passed. I don't think the media gonna put no good representations out there unless they from the UK. As far as African Americans go, Malcolm-Jamal Warner is definitely the last of a dying breed. People not realizing how much of an impact this man had on society, not just black society, but society as a whole until he passed away. Now they're giving him his just due.
Malcolm-Jamal Warner, dead at the age of 54 on a drowning accident while he was vacationing with his family in Costa Rica. Joining us now, Bomani Jones, host of the Right Time with Bomani Jones podcast, and entertainment journalist Segun Odulo to share their thoughts there. And Bomani, if I could begin with you, of course it was difficult, and he spoke quite publicly about this, Malcolm-Jamal Warner, when Bill Cosby was accused, later convicted of multiple cases of sexual assault. He was asked about it in a 2015 interview, and he said, "He's one of my mentors, and he's been very influential, played a big role in my life as a friend and mentor. Just as it's painful to hear any woman talk about sexual assault, whether true or not, it's just as painful to watch my friend and mentor go through this." How did he handle it in the years since he left the show, just that the larger Bill Cosby controversy and scandal?
I mean, I guess you would argue that he handled it about as well as he could, because it's not like what Bill Cosby did is something that he himself could answer for. And it's got to be super tricky, not only because Cosby was kind of a vehicle for the fame and what his life ultimately became, but also because specifically the vehicle that they were attached to was so attached to the idea of wholesomeness, and that this guy is like everybody's dad. And then you find out that your dad perhaps might be a terrible person. That's a rough go for anybody. And so I noticed for all the members of that cast, for us, Bill Cosby was just kind of he's not somebody we knew in general. He's just an idea. And so for those people, you're reckoning with the person you thought you know, the person that was actually there, and the idea that happened to be a vehicle for everything that happened in your life. So it's kind of hard for me to evaluate how anybody would or would not have handled it because it's such a particular situation.
Yeah, Segun, this is, I mean, we all know Malcolm-Jamal Warner for this role, right? But he also was so accomplished as a Grammy-winning musician. He had a recent podcast. He spoke out about being a black man in society and what that meant, and that's a voice that's needed. And that portrayal that he brought was groundbreaking. Can you talk a little bit about the mark that he's leaving here? It's just incredibly sad when we think of what a young age he died at.
I hate to be a conspiracy theorist, but we need to do some investigation to how this man passed for real. Black people usually don't be drowning unless they are there in Lake Vanille. I feel so bad about this. He was doing way too many positive things in these negative times. He was our last shining hope, and to hear he passed like this, something kind of funny going on here. He was a revolutionary. His name was Malcolm, and it don't get no more ghetto than Jamal. He probably was gonna raise up and be the next Dr. King. What's really going on, y'all?
Yeah, the passing of Malcolm-Jamal Warner is horrific. And, I know Elizabeth Wagmeister and one of the entertainment reporters that you had on before, but culturally, and I think Bomani and myself can speak to this is like the loss of a family member in that, look, I'm the child of immigrants, and my dad is a PhD. My mom is a therapist. Malcolm-Jamal Warner was the first time I saw somebody that looked like me and my brothers on television that my parents could relate to. The conversations that he would have on screen with his television dad were the same conversations about going to college and cleaning your room that I was having with my father. So his voice as a Black man on screen, and then afterwards, just the man he was, the smile, the artist, the Grammy you mentioned. He was also on Def Poetry Jam. There was an aura about him of just class and grace. And for me at my age, it's like losing a family member, because we grew up with him. Like I grew up watching this kid go through the same things that I was going through while he's on camera. And so culturally, his passing is so tremendous to our community as Black men, because he was a father himself. Like, he embodied the things that maybe Bill Cosby it turned out wasn't, but Malcolm-Jamal Warner was those things. He kept his life private. And so, like, again, I'm almost at a loss for words, because when I saw the news, I could not believe it. 54 is not only so young, but what he meant to me growing up, and to a great many of us, to see something like that to see us represented is so powerful. It's definitely a tragic loss, not just for the entertainment community, but the Black community as a whole. We lost somebody that I throw it to you, Bomani. I grew up watching him and laughing, and my dad did the same thing. I brought you into this world, I'll take you out. He just did it with a Nigerian accent.
It's such a good point that he, in his life, tried to live up to that wholesome image himself, Shigun. It's such a great point. Sorry, Bomani, go ahead.
No, I was going to say the dynamic that Shagun pointed out is interesting, because my parents are both professionals. But the thing is, the Cosby Show comes out in '85. I'm 5 years old, so I don't have a recollection of the world without the Cosby Show. And so what was revolutionary for a lot of people, for me, was much more commonplace, because of the life they showed was more similar to a life that I recognized. Now, what I always find to be interesting, and not that this was that different from many sitcoms, but as much as Cosby had a tendency to fall into traps of respectability politics, those kids were driving him crazy at every turn. And the Theo Huxtable drive him crazy was interesting in the first couple of seasons of the show, because it's just basically your son's a screw up who says he wants to be a regular person. He had to tell him that that's why he made D's and everything. The progression of the character was one who had actually an undiagnosed learning disability, which I think created a relatability to a lot of people in circumstances where they felt like they were doing their best and just couldn't get it right. And so it went from being a joke that Theo can't get it right to you recognizing, oh, there's a reason. And there's way ahead of kind of a conscientiousness that we have now about those issues. But it also, I think the term class was used, but as the Theo Huxtable character gets older, he just gets a whole lot cooler. Like, that was somebody that you could see by the end of it and be like, yo, I wouldn't mind kicking it like that guy kicks it. So as much as we could talk about like these kind of deeper issues of how it affected Black people, in the end, this worked because it was an entertaining television show. And a big part of why it was entertaining is he gave one of the more realistic portrayals of a teenager on screen while actually being a teenager. Because normally people who get that right are actors who are older and can look back on what their lives were. In real time, he was capturing what a 14, 15, 16-year-old would be in a very relatable format for not just Black people, but also Americans. Like, it's crazy to think how many white people watched that show at the time, given how decidedly Black it was. So we can claim the character very closely, certainly, but let's be careful and not lose sight of the fact that this was an American character that was shared by the country from coast to coast.
So all my African American people, now's the time that we start taking our culture more seriously, because these jigaboos, out of towners, out of Americans, these tethers, they taking over. They claim an African American culture. These people they got up on the news, not even African American, and they speaking on Theo like they own him or something like that. That's my brother. We was raised up on the same water, breathed the air from the same trees. Where these people come from, just because they watch the Cosby Show. They don't know nothing about Bill Cosby. They ain't never seen Bill Cosby eat them pork and beans before he went on stage and do stand-up comedy. I seen it. I heard about Bill Cosby and Richard Pryor coming out those brothels and things. They can't claim African American culture. And that's what they trying to do with Malcolm-Jamal Warner. They gonna say all these nice things, and before you know it, they gonna be talking about he was Jamaican for real. They gonna turn around and say he was from the Caribbean. They already saying that Bill Cosby really from Barbados, and they even claiming that he's Rihanna's grandfather. They need to cut this stuff out.
Listen, as I said to Brianna earlier, I watched it religiously as well. But I could hear, and maybe you're the same, I hear in the passion, Shagun and Bomani, in your voices just what it meant to you to watch this show, right? I mean, it just comes across with everything you say.
Yeah, Bomani touched on it, like the learning disability. Like in the Black community, in many communities, that's not discussed, right? That I had never seen that before. And I know people that, because of what was displayed on the Cosby Show, and that conversation led to conversations in their own family. Bomani is right. This was an American character, because you don't be on the most successful sitcom in television at the time if it was only for one group of people. Malcolm-Jamal Warner himself, away from the camera, and I know you all mentioned it, led a very private life. He was kind of like the anti-star, and really didn't seek the fame, but was really an artist. And the art form that he showed on television that we consumed, must-see TV Thursday night, you knew the time, like you sat down there. We ate dinner watching the Cosby Show. It was one of the only shows that we could watch. And like I said, for me and for my brothers, I've been on the phone with them, and we're having conversations like, I can't believe he's gone. And we're reminiscing and being reminded about shows and episodes, and the Gordon Gartrell when Denise made the shirt for him. There are episodes that his character went through that were are so indelible and left memories for us that are never going to go away.
Yeah, I think it was dyslexia that he had, and I think of his early adventures, because it was early on in the series, with Cockroach, his friend, who was so memorable as well. Just so much warmth that he brought to that character, and so much of himself, clearly, that he brought to that character. Shagun Oduolowu and Bomani Jones, thank you so much to both of you. Really, really appreciate this conversation, as I think so many people are feeling this, and our hearts go out to this family.
That's the thing. A family has lost their father today, and our prayers with them.
Yeah, thank you guys so much.
Man, I just don't know. Rest in peace to Malcolm-Jamal Warner. They said Bill Cosby couldn't take it, don't messed around, fainted. They had to help him up off the floor. Oh, man, I know he hurting real bad right now. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this in the comment section. Send y'all condolences. R.I.P. Malcolm-Jamal Warner. We love you, brother. See you at the crossroads someday, So much love for him. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this in the comment section. One more thing before I go. Subscribe to my channel if that's what you want.
Subscribe to my channel if that's what you want. But if that's not what you like, then you must be a punk. Hold on now, here we go. Who is this girl? She got that junk in her trunk. Baby girl, back it up, poke out your rump. It's S.A.T. that you want.